the 27th of January 2025. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo, bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team. I am Jayamal Ratnayaka.
And I am Rochelle Kumodra. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Yoshita Rajapaksa granted bail after years of legal proceedings. Court orders personal bond of 100 million rupees.
නෑ කිසිම වරද්දක් නෑ. හැබැයි ඉතින් අපරාධයක් හයිවේ එක දිගේ බෙලියත්තරම ඇවිල්ලා එක්කන් ආපු එක අපිට සනු දෙන්න ගමන් අපි එනවා.
SJB also calls for an end to political vendettas. President clarifies anti-corruption investigations.
අපිට වාසගම් අනුව අපි හොරක් තෝරන්නේ. අපි තෝරන්නේ කොහොමද? හොරකම අනුව, අපරාධය අනුව. මේ මාසයේ අග වෙනකොට තව වේගවත් වෙයි.
Supreme Court concludes hearing on local government election bill petitions. Confidential decision submitted to the Speaker. Why is there no minimum price for paddy? Deputy Minister explains. Air Vice Marshal Vasu Bandhu Edrisinghe appointed as new Air Force Commander.
Yoshita Rajapaksa, who was remanded under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, was granted bail by Colombo Additional Magistrate Manjula Ratnayaka today. The bail was set at 2 surety bonds of 50 million rupees each. Rajapaksa was arrested last Saturday by the Financial Crimes Investigation Division of the CID, following directives from the Attorney General.
During the investigation into the controversial transactions of the Carlton Sports Network, authorities have also begun probing the purchase of a 31.5 perch property and house in Sirimaluyana, Ratmalana. The investigation, which began in 2016, revealed that the property was purchased under the name of Daisy Forest for 36 million rupees, including costs. It was further uncovered that Yoshita Rajapaksa, son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, facilitated this purchase. Reports were submitted to the court under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, with investigative officers seeking the Attorney General's advice on 13th January 2017 and 4th May 2019 for further action. After several years, the Attorney General provided written instructions to the Financial Crimes Investigation Division of the Criminal Investigation Department last Thursday. The Attorney General indicated that there was sufficient evidence to name Yoshita Rajapaksa as a suspect under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Following these instructions, Yoshita Rajapaksa was arrested on Saturday and remanded until today. When presented before Colombo Additional Magistrate Manjula Ratnayaka, Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Piris submitted a detailed report on the investigation. Piris highlighted that the investigation into the property purchase in Sirimal Uyana was conducted under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Daisy Forest was named as the first suspect and Yoshita Rajapaksa as the second. The Deputy Solicitor General noted that this case could be considered as one of the money laundering cases against the suspect and that the investigation had not been conducted independently from the beginning. He stated that Yoshita Rajapaksa had used an elderly woman to evade charges under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Evidence revealed that Yoshita Rajapaksa played an active role in the property purchase. Investigations are also ongoing regarding the purchase of a property in Dehiwala for over 50 million rupees and the significant earnings from the CSN channel. When arrested on the 25th of January, Rajapaksa refused to provide a new statement, citing a previous statement given in 2017. The Deputy Solicitor General requested the court not to grant bail, arguing that it could cause public unrest and hinder further investigations. Representing Yoshita Rajapaksa, President's Counsel Sampath Mendis and other counsel argued that his client was arrested for aiding Daisy Forest, the first suspect who had been granted bail 8 years ago. The defence requested the same legal treatment for Rajapaksa. After considering both sides, the magistrate noted that the investigation was serious but questioned why initial steps such as freezing the disputed property were not taken. The magistrate also highlighted the prolonged 8-year investigation period. Given this context, the magistrate granted bail to Rajapaksa, stating that there was no clear evidence that bail would disrupt the investigation or cause public unrest. Rajapaksa's foreign travel was banned and he was ordered to report to the FCID on the last Sunday of every month. A notice was issued for Daisy Forest to appear in court on the 16th of May and the case was scheduled to be heard again on that date.
රටේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න කාලය වැය කරන්න ඕනේ ආණ්ඩුව දේශපාලඥයන්ව දඩයම් කරන්න සහ පවුලේ අයව පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කෑ ගහන්නේ මමනේ ඉර යන්නේ මල් ඉතින් දඩයම් කරන්න පාවිච්චි කරන වෙනුවට මම හිතන්නේ මේ හාල් ටික පොල් ටික තුන පහ ටික අරන් දෙන්න නේ තුන් වේල කන්න පුළුවන් වෙන මේ රටේ ආර්ථිකය හදලා දෙන්න කටයුතු කරොත් හොඳයි.
හැබැයි දුන්න පොරොන්දුවක් නේද මේ පරණ ෆයිල් ටික ගන්නවා කියන්නේ?
ඔව් එතුමා දීපු පොරොන්දුවක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් හැබැයි මේ මොන ෆයිල් එකද කියන එක තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. එතුමාගෙම තමයි අහන්න ඕනේ.
එතකොට මේ නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම වැරද්දද?
නෑ කිසිම වරද්දක් නෑ. හැබැයි ඉතින් අපරාධයක් හයිවේ එක දිගේ බෙලියත්තරම ඇවිල්ලා එක්කන් ආපු එක අපිට සනු දෙන්න කොහොමද අපි එනවා. මේ ඉඳන් අන්තිම නිකන් මං කිව්වනේ පොලිසිය නෝන්ඩි වෙන්න එපා කියලා. නේද? ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ වහන අඩු කරා කියලා ජනාධිපතිවරයා කියනවා. ඉතින් තකාණියා බෙලියත්තට යන්නේ ඇයි? තෙල් ගහගෙන කතා කරලා එන්න කිව්වනම් ඇවිල්ලා කට උත්තරේ දෙනවනේ.
දැන් ඔබ වැරද්දක් කරපුවාම මේ නඩුවක් මේ නඩු පවරන්නේ කියලා. ඊළඟට නඩු කරපුවාම කියනවා දේශපාලන දඩයමක් කියලා.
වැරද්දක් කරුවම නඩු පවරනවද වැරද්දක් හදලා නඩු පවරනවා කියන තව කාරණා. ඒ හින්දා ඒක අධිකරණය ඔප්පු වෙනවා.
දැන් මෙච්චර කාලෙක 2015 පමණ මේ නඩු
ඔබතුමා අපේ ගෙදර තාත්තලා ගෙවල් පැත්තේ ඇවිල්ලා එළිය නම් අපරාධය. අතුරුදාර කළා තේකක් බීලන්න තිබ්බනේ.
ඒ කියන ඔබේ අදහස
අනිත් පාර කියලා නේ ඇවිල්ලා තේකක් බීලා යනවා.
ඒසියාච්චිගේ මැනික් මණ්ඩ. ඒකෙන්ද හොයාගෙන තියෙන සල්ලි.
ඒ පිළිබඳව අධිකරණයේදී තහවුරු වෙයි. ගෙදර ආවනම් පෙන්නන්නත් තිබ්බා. මම දැක්ක තෙමි ඉන්නවා මේ ගේට්ටුව ගාව අපරාධ. මට කිව්වා නම් මම ඇතුළට නම් තේකක් දෙනවනේ. තාත්තලා කිව්වත් ඇවිල්ලා හම්බෙන්න තිබ්බා.
The Samagijana Balavege has responded to the arrest of Yoshida Rajapaksa, calling for an end to political vendettas.
දේශපාලන පලිගැනීම් සිදු කිරීම නතර විය යුතුයි. අපි දැක්කා යහපාලන රජයේ මානියෝජනය කරපු කාල සීමාවෙත් මේ ආකාරයටම මේ අයව අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්තා. නමුත් දේශපාලන ඩීල් එකකින් දෝ මන් දන්නේ මේ අයව නිදහස් වුණා. එම නිසා අපි බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා දේශපාලන පලිගැනීම් කිරීමට අපි එකග වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් සාධාරණ පරීක්ෂණයක් කරලා සාධාරණයක් ඉටු කරන්න සහයෝගය ලබා දෙනවා. හැබැයි බොරුවට අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන මාධ්‍ය දර්ශන දාන්න එක නම් නතර කරන්න.
President Andrukumara Dissanayaka highlighted the importance of granting independence to relevant institutions to effectively combat corruption and fraud. Speaking yesterday evening in Kakirava, the President stressed that these institutions have been given the freedom to carry out their duties without interference.
පරීක්ෂණ කරනකොට තනක එරුණාම නීතිපති පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අහනවා මෙන්න මෙහෙම තත්ත්වයක් තියෙන තව මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා නෑ මෙන්න මෙහෙම කට උත්තරයකුත් ගන්න.
When conducting investigations, if we encounter a situation, we consult the Attorney General's Department for guidance on the next steps. They provide instructions and sometimes we need to take statements. Yesterday, we received such instructions. The Attorney General's Department advised us to take statements and the Criminal Investigation Department acted accordingly. Sometimes bail may be granted by the court, but the goal is not just to remand individuals. Our program aims to properly prosecute cases and ensure justice is served. The CID and the Attorney General's Department have been given the freedom to conduct investigations independently, and we trust the judicial system to support this process. Some may say that only minor cases are being taken up, but there is no distinction between minor and major theft. Theft is theft. Quick investigations yield quick results, while more complex cases take longer. We have strengthened the CID and they are not targeting anyone specifically. We are not interested in selective justice. We are committed to addressing all crimes equally. We have given the necessary freedom to institutions to carry out their duties. It took time to establish some of these institutions, but now they are operational. We cannot stop this work. We must continue. By the end of this month, the pace will increase. We do not differentiate between types of corruption, whether it is the fertilizer scam or the central bank scam. We gather evidence and proceed accordingly. We have created a government free from corruption and committed to bringing wrongdoers to justice. Recently, a former minister, Anurayapa, was arrested along with his wife. There was a question about why the wife was arrested, but it was actually the minister's personal secretary. When a family runs the government, the whole family is accountable for any wrongdoing. In October 2015, the Attorney General's Department sent a letter asking what to do about a case. Last week, we received instructions to arrest and question the suspect nearly 10 years later. There is no reason to reprimand the AG's officials. If the letter was sent, it was concealed. There would have been some influence. What are they to do? They are also human. If the government wanted to protect the crooks, the AG's officials would not be put forward as the scapegoats. If the Attorney General's officials are genuine in delivering justice, we will support them. What was done at the AG's department? After 10 years, the files were pulled and an answer was given to arrest and interrogate. This shows that the country is moving in the right direction. We have turned the country towards a successful path. In the past, governments in Sri Lanka were often formed through dynasty power, passed down from generation to generation. However, for the first time, we have a government that is not built on hereditary power. In the past, some governments were formed through conspiracies, such as those following the Easter Sunday attacks. But this government, led by the National People's Power, is different. It was not created through conspiracies, financial influence, media power, or dynastic authority. So, how was this government formed? It was built by the people from all walks of life who came together to create a government that truly represents them. We have a complete commitment and responsibility to the people. In just 2 months, we have already brought about significant change. Our government has not yet presented a budget, but will do so on the 17th of February. This new budget will outline the direction we will take to develop our country.
අපේ අයවැය ලේඛනයක් ඉදිරිපත් කළනේ. ඒක අපි පෙබරවාරි මාසේ 17 වෙනිදා අපි අලුත් ලේඛන ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. ඒ අයවැය ලේඛනයෙන් අපේ රට හරවන දිශාව අපි පෙන්눔 කරනවා.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has filed 3 cases against former Minister of Civil Aviation, Piyankara Jayaratne.
These cases have been filed in the Colombo High Court. The charges against Jayaratne include allegedly causing a loss of 128,520 rupees to the Civil Aviation Authority by printing 3,000 Vesak greeting cards, allegedly influencing Civil Aviation Authority officials to authorize a payment of 360,000 rupees to a private entity resulting in financial loss, allegedly influencing Civil Aviation Authority officials to deposit 494,000 rupees into a national savings bank account in Chilau, causing financial loss to the government. The Supreme Court has scheduled the bail hearing for Harsh Ilukpitia, the Controller General of Immigration and Immigration, for the 29th of January. Ilukpitia is currently in remand custody on charges of contempt of court. The bail application will be considered by a bench led by Justice Preeti Padma Surasena. Ilukpitia faces charges for allegedly failing to implement an interim injunction issued by the Supreme Court. The injunction was intended to halt the decision to outsource electronic visa services to 2 foreign companies. India's 76th Republic Day was marked in Colombo. Speaking at the event, the Indian envoy said that as Sri Lanka turns a corner from economic recovery to growth, the leadership has indicated a strategic shift from debt-driven models towards investment-led partnerships.
The High Commission of India in Colombo celebrated India's 76th Republic Day in Colombo yesterday. A ceremonial reception in line with India's Republic Day was organized at India House. The event was attended by the Prime Minister Dr. Harniyamara Surya, former presidents, former prime ministers, ministers, deputy ministers and members of parliament.
India and Sri Lanka not only are fellow democracies, sharing in our diversity and dynamism, we are civilizational partners, sharing our history, language, religion and ethos. Our stories have intertwined and our futures are interlinked. Our geographical proximity makes us natural partners, and the same proximity demands a mutual sensitivity to each other's interests. It also requires each of us to support the other with an unmatched spontaneity, unencumbered by third-party pulls and pressures. India has time and again demonstrated that it is a dependable partner and a reliable friend for Sri Lanka. Whether it is a natural disaster, mishaps at sea, the COVID pandemic, or the recent economic crisis, India has come to Sri Lanka's assistance always as the first responder. Our support has been timely, quick, and unconditional. India, as the co-chair of the Official Creditors Committee, remains involved in financial stabilization effort for Sri Lanka through its engagement with the IMF. In addition to the ongoing debt restructuring, India has created additional fiscal headroom for Sri Lanka by converting $100 million worth of development debt assistance to grants. This takes India's grant assistance to Sri Lanka to nearly USD 780 million, making India the principal development partner for Sri Lanka. India's development assistance project exists in each of the 25 districts of Sri Lanka. Completed projects amount to 390 million US dollars. Ongoing projects are approximately 201 million US dollars. And committed grant projects in the pipeline stand at nearly USD 180 million. As Sri Lanka turns a corner from economic recovery to growth, our leadership has indicated a strategic shift from debt-driven models towards investment-led partnerships across different sectors. The energy projects include establishing electricity grid connectivity and multi-product petroleum pipelines between both the nations. We have jointly decided that, post the successful launch of Nagapattinam and Kankesanturai ferry service, we will also initiate a ferry service between Rameshwaram and Talaimannar. You must have seen that Indigo has emerged the largest foreign carrier in Sri Lanka. On the digital connectivity front, we are working to implement the Sri Lanka Unique Digital Identity Project in mission mode. In keeping with the promise of the Sri Lankan government for people-centric digitization, SLUDI will be the foundational DPI to unlock benefits of the digital stack.
The Minister of Health and Mass Media also spoke at the event.
Sri Lanka recognizes India's potential as a growth pole and believes that India's sustained economic growth and development in technology will certainly benefit Sri Lanka's gradual economic stability and complement its recovery measures. India remains the largest source market for tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka. This indicates that there is great potential to harness in relation to tourism by our two countries. The role of our two countries in ensuring peace, stability, security and sustainable development in the Indian Ocean region is of paramount importance. The strength of Sri Lanka-India partnership lies in collective action. It is through collaborative efforts that we can address the new and evolving challenges that transcend borders, whether they be in addressing environmental concerns, combating terrorism, or ensuring economic growth that benefits all citizens globally. Sri Lanka remains committed to fostering deeper cooperation with India to harness the opportunities of the 21st century for future generations to thrive in an interconnected and interdependent world. As we tread along that path, may the bonds between our two countries continue to strengthen, fostering collaboration and understanding for the benefit of our peoples.
Do you remember, as a child, the excitement of making plans with your friends before heading out to play? Even as kids, we instinctively knew that good things come from a little planning and thought.
Yet in Sri Lanka, the hard-earned money of taxpayers is carelessly wasted by a lack of proper planning and accountability. This is a story of how such irresponsibility leads to millions of rupees being wasted with no regard for the consequences.
What happened to the village?
දැන් අපිට යන්න බෑ මේ අඩි 22ක් තිබුණ පාලම දැන් අඩි 35ක් විතර දුරට කපලා තියෙනවා මේ කපලා ඉවර කරලා තියෙන්නේ දෝසරෙන් කපලා. ඉතින් බහින දාට යන්න බෑ වතුර මේ මට්ටමට එන බයයි යන්න වැටුණොත් ගහගෙන යනවා.
This was supposed to be the Beligas Anga Bridge, meant to serve about 800 families. Work to renovate the bridge began on the 13th March 2021. It was affectionately dubbed the Bridge Connecting Hearts. But despite all this, the old bridge, which was already on its last legs, was completely gone in the end.
මේ කඩාබින්ද දාලා දැන් අවුරුදු දෙකක් වෙනවා. තාම මේ පිළිබඳව කිසිම බලධාරියෙක් ඇවිල්ලා මේ පිළිබඳව සොයා බලලා නැහැ.
මේ හොඳට තිබ්බ පාලම කඩලා අලුතෙන් පාලමක් හදනවා කියලා අඩි 12ක් පළල දිග 22ක් තියෙන පාලම තමයි හදන්න පටන් ගත්තේ. ඉතින් එක පැත්තක බෙන්ස් එක දාලා තියෙනවා අනිත් පැත්තේ මොනවත් කරේ නැහැ. දෙපැත්තම කඩලා දැම්මා. ලී පාලමක් හදාගෙන අපි යන්නේ ඒත් වෙන ඉඩමකින්. යා එපා කිව්වොත් අපිට ඇලේ බහැලා තමයි යන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ කෝටියක් විතර ඒකට මේ ඇස්ටිමේට් කරලා තිබුණා. ඒ සල්ලි එක රුපියලක්වත් කොහෙට මොනවා වුණාද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ.
Why did this project come to an abrupt halt? That is the question lingering on everyone's mind.
දාලා ගියා. අපි තිබ්බ බඩු ටිකක් නැහැ. මොනවත් නැහැ. පටවන ගියා තේරෙම ආය ආන හදන්න ආවෙත් නැහැ.
Despite the reason for this project being halted before it already began, nearly 10 million rupees have already been wasted. It is not prudent to probe why this happened.
What happened to the village?
Have you ever met people whose lives have been disrupted by someone else's mistakes? People who have been deceived by false promises and are struggling to see a way forward for tomorrow. These individuals often cross our paths. They are simply asking for a chance at life.
In the village of Gorgagashena in Nautu Namatara, over 100 families, most of whom are physically challenged, reside in government-provided housing. Their daily struggle for basic necessities is heart-wrenching. Fetching drinking water requires a grueling 5 to 6 kilometer walk each day. Despite their disabilities, these residents endure immense hardship, often sharing their stories through tears.
අපි දැන් මේකට ඇවිල්ලා අවුරුදු 3ක් විතර වගේ වෙනවා. අපි පැය භාගයකටත් වැඩිය යනවා මේ මඩවල හන්දියේ ඉඳලා දුරකට යනවා අපි වතුර අදින. අපිට බොන්නමක්වත් වතුර නැහැ.
අපි දුර ලිඳකට යන්නේ කිලෝමීටර් 3ක් විතර යනවා ඈතට. නාන්නත් යන්නේ එළිදටම තමයි අපි. අපි ළමයින්ට ඉතින් මූණ සෝදාන්න බාත්රූම් එකට යන්නේ. ඒවට මොකටවත් යන්න විදියක් නැහැ. ඉතින් හරිම අමාරුවෙන් වතුර ටික ගේන්නේ උදේ පාන්දර ගිහිල්ලා හවසට ගිහිල්ලා වතුර ගේනවා. අපි වතුර ඉදලම දැන් ඇඟපතත් මේ වෙලා අපිට ගොඩක් ලෙඩක් හැදෙනවා. මේ වතුර ගේන්නම ගිහිල්ලා කකුල් දෙක රිදෙනවා.
Hoping for a solution, they voiced their concerns to the Matra Gammadda door-to-door team during a recent visit.
Gammadda door-to-door.
For 14 years, after being relocated due to the construction of the Dadru Oya reservoir, despite promises, the village still lacks a proper water supply.
පොදුලින්ද තියෙනවා. පොදුලින්දේ වතුර බොන්න බෑ. නාන්නේකින් නානවා. මේ බොන්න ලොරියකින් වතුර ගේනවා මේකට. ඒකෙන් රුපියල් 100ක් දීලා කෑන්නයක් ගන්නවා ලොකු කෑන්නයක්.
මේකේ ජල ව්‍යාපෘතියේ ලිඳ කැපුවා. අපිට ගම්මානට දීලා තමයි වතුර ගෙනියනවා කිව්වේ උඩහට. අවසානට ගම්මානේ ගෙවල් දෙකකට දීලා වතුර ලයින් එකේ එහාට අරන් ගියා. අපි හිඟන්නවා වගේ. අපෙන් එකතු කරපු සල්ලි ටිකවත් අපිට ලැබුණේ නැහැ. අපි වතුර සල්ලි වලට ගත්තේ නැහැ. අපි හොස්පිටල් එකකට ගියේ නැහැ මේ පයින් ගියේ නැහැ.
The village has a few wells, but the water is not suitable for drinking.
වතුර තිබ්බට තනිකර කිවුල් වතුර තියෙන්නේ. අපි හැමෝම මේ හැමෝටම ඉන්න හැමෝම මගේ වතුර සල්ලි වලට අරන් තමයි බොන්නේ.
බත් උයන්නේත් තේ උණු කරන්නේත් සල්ලි වලට වතුර අරගෙන. ඇත්තම කතාව. වරු නෙමෙයි. අලි කාලේට අලි ප්‍රශ්න ඉත්තෑවෝ පොල් කනවා මුවෝ ඉත්තෑවෝ ඌරෝ රටකජ්ජක්වත් හදා ගන්න බෑ.
Gammadda door-to-door.
Newsfirst with the people.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
International Edu Expo with EdLocate on the 1st and 2nd February. Call us to register.
International Edu Expo organized by EdLocate on 1st February 2025 at the Taj Samudra and on the 2nd of February at the Kandy City Centre Banquet Hall. Call our hotline to register for the event.
Welcome back to the news. Air Vice Marshal Vasu Bandhu Edirisinghe has been appointed the 20th Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force.
Air Vice Marshal Vasu Bandhu Edirisinghe is scheduled to assume duties on the 29th of January as the new commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. Current commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, Air Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa, is slated to retire on the 29th of January, while the incoming commander, Air Vice Marshal Vasu Bandhu Edirisinghe, will be promoted to the post of Air Marshal in due course. Air Vice Marshal Vasu Bandhu Edirisinghe is an alumnus of St. Sylvester's College, Kandy. He joined the Sri Lanka Air Force through the 2014 intake as an officer cadet in 1991 and was commissioned as a pilot officer in the General Duties Pilot Branch in 1993.
The Supreme Court's determination on the fundamental rights petitions challenging certain provisions of the local authorities' elections special provisions bill, which were alleged to be unconstitutional, will be forwarded to the Speaker and President Anurakumara Dissanayake. The case was taken up before a Supreme Court bench comprising Justices Yasantha Kodagoda, Janak De Silva and Arjuna Obesekara.
The petitions were filed by a number of individuals, including Secretary of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, President's Council Mohammad Nizam Karyappa, Attorney Kushali Jayaviro representing the National Democratic Front, and former Mayor of Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council Upul Gamage. Representing the Attorney General, Deputy Solicitor General Nirmalan Vingeswaran stated that the primary objective of introducing this draft bill is to address weakness in the existing draft bill. He added that another objective of this is to provide opportunities for new voters and to protect their fundamental rights. The Additional Solicitor General stated that this draft bill protects the right of the general public to exercise their franchise and assures the fundamental rights have not been infringed upon. Accordingly, he stated that the draft bill does not violate fundamental rights and a simple majority is sufficient for its passage. Councils representing the petitioner stated that this draft bill was introduced with the intention of cancelling nominations submitted for the postponed local government election and accept new nominations. They argued that this causes injustice to the candidates who have submitted nominations and certain clauses of the draft bill contradict the Constitution, and to be approved must be voted by 2/3 majority in Parliament, followed by a referendum.
During a media briefing at the Ministry of Agriculture held this afternoon, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock addressed the ongoing paddy procurement process, offering key insights into the recent developments.
The previous government did not provide compensation for the Yala season farmers. However, the present government provided all compensation for farmers. Just as the Maha season began, there was a huge loss in the month of November, and the process of providing compensation for those affected will commence on the 30th. All arrangements have been made to pay compensation to all of these farmers before the end of February. More damages was recorded due to the recent adverse weather conditions, and we will assess those damages and provide compensation to those affected. We have been accused of delaying the announcing of the minimum price for paddy. This delay has been deliberate. Why do you think that is? We are concerned about the farmers. In recent days, the price of wet paddy has gone up to 140 rupees per kilogram. Then the price of dried paddy is also around 160 rupees per kilogram. If this prevails, the price of rice will reach 300 rupees per kilogram. This is a distortion. We thought that no matter what the circumstances, if the farmers want to sell their paddy at high prices, they should be given the opportunity to do so. There is no problem that the farmers cannot sell their paddy. There is no problem that there is no price for paddy. If the farmer is suffering from those two problems, then we say as the government we should intervene. If the farmers do not have such issues, then why should we jump in and cause problems? Given this situation, we are deliberately not announcing the minimum price of paddy. We will determine it in time.
මේ තත්ත්වයක් එක්ක අපි හිතාමතාම තමයි මේ වී කිලෝ එකේ අවම මිල තාමත් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් නොකර ඉන්නේ. ඒක කල්යල් බලලා අදාළ වෙලාවට නියම කරනවා.
A significant milestone in the Thuru Kapakaru tree planting initiative, jointly operated by Eslon Lanka Private Limited and Newsfirst, was successfully carried out today at the Dudley Senanayake College in Colombo 5.
Today's Thuru Kapakaru event took place within the premises of the Dudley Senanayake College in Colombo 5, led by the students themselves following the opening ceremony to welcome guests. School supplies were distributed to students from grade 1 to grade 13, aimed at encouraging the students and fostering their development alongside today's Thuru Kapakaru tree planting campaign. Students who had previously participated in planting and maintaining saplings through past editions of the Thuru Kapakaru initiative were also recognized for their efforts and commitment.
21000කට අධික පැල සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ මිහි මත එලක් දෙරණ මත.
This initiative has grown from strength to strength, planting over 21,000 saplings over the years on our soil. This in itself is a formidable tree. We cannot exclude ourselves from the environment. We have a day mandated as the National Tree Planting Day. Saplings are planted on hallmark days such as that, but there is little consideration given to nurture them afterwards. If we count those tree planting initiatives, the whole of Sri Lanka should look like the Sinharaja forest. But that is not the case. But Mr. Veerasekara has not faltered. He has launched a massive project with the support of other organizations.
එතුමා ඒ සියල්ලක්ම ඔබට කියපු දැවැන්ත වැඩසටහනක් මේ ආයතනත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන ආරම්භ කරන්නට යෙදුණා. අපේ පැරණෝ ඊටාම දක්ෂයි ඕනම දෙයකදී තමන්ගේ අදහස් ප්‍රකාශ කරා.
Our ancestors were famous for voicing their opinions out loud, but with the colonization we were subdued. Our creativity was stunted. We are in a state of limbo because we are confined to a certain way of thinking. The reason Sri Lanka's vital resources end up in the ocean is because our forests, especially in the hill, were ravaged. It was a planned attempt. We need to protect what is left. We cannot survive if oxygen runs out. How unfairly do we treat nature which provides us oxygen? Trees are deities. Our ancestors worshipped a tree before cutting it down. But today, it would be a laughing matter.
අනේ පුතේ දුවේ අපි විද්‍යාවෙන් සන්නද්ධ වුණාට අවිද්‍යාවෙන් පරිපූර්ණ වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
The event was attended by Group Director and Chief Operating Officer of the Capital Maharaja Group, S.C. Veerasekara, and Director and CEO of Eslon Lanka Private Limited, Nalinja Wardana. The Sri Lanka Navy assumed command of a multinational maritime training task force during a change of command ceremony on the 26th of January.
The Sri Lanka Navy assumed command of Multinational Maritime Training Task Force during a change of command ceremony on the 26th of January. Egyptian Navy Commodore Haitham Khalil turned over command of the Combined Task Force or CTF 154 to Sri Lankan Navy Commodore KMH Bethagay. During Khalil's tenure, CTF 154 established monthly maritime security enhanced training sessions which focused on topics including navigation and safety at sea, firefighting, public affairs and pollution event crisis management. This is in addition to key partner engagements and working alongside other maritime organizations such as the European Union Naval Force. CTF 154 conducts multinational maritime training at locations across the Middle East, enabling more CMF partner nations to participate in training opportunities without ships or aircrafts, particularly during courses that are facilitated ashore. It organizes training events around 5 core areas: maritime awareness, maritime law, maritime interdiction, maritime rescue and assistance and leadership development. Each training opportunity is tailored to meet partner requests ranging from basic to advanced levels. CTF 154's core staff consists of members from Canada, Egypt, Jordan, Seychelles, Turkey and the United States. This will be the first time a CTF is commanded by Sri Lanka, which joined the CMF in November 2023. CTF 154 was established in May 2023 and is one of 5 operational task forces under Combined Maritime Forces. CMF's other task forces include CTF 150 that focuses on maritime security in the Gulf of Oman and the Indian Ocean, CTF 151 which leads regional counter-piracy efforts, CTF 152 dedicated to maritime security in the Arabian Gulf and CTF 153 in the Red Sea. CMF headquartered in Bahrain with US Naval Forces Central Command and US 5th Fleet is the largest multinational level partnership in the world, with 46 nations committed to upholding the international rules-based order at sea. It promotes security, stability and prosperity across approximately 3.2 million square miles of international waters, encompassing some of the world's most important shipping lanes.
International Edu Expo, organized by EdLocate on 1st February 2025 at the Taj Samudra and on the 2nd of February at the Kandy City Centre Banquet Hall. Call our hotline to register for the event.
Donald Trump urged U.S. Agency for International Development or USAID workers to join the effort to transform how the federal government allocates aid around the world in line with his America First policy. His administration threatened quote-unquote disciplinary action for any staff ignoring the orders issued days into Trump's second presidency.
The U.S. Agency for International Development, also known as USAID, has paused new funding for programs across the world following the Trump administration's decision to halt all foreign aid, barring that to Egypt and Israel, a move that will impact some initiatives in Sri Lanka as well. After U.S. President Donald Trump issued the executive order on re-evaluating and realigning United States foreign aid on the 20th January, American media reports said Secretary of State Marco Rubio sent out a memo on how the State Department, USAID, and other agencies should execute the executive order stopping foreign aid during a 90-day reassessment period. A sharply worded memo sent Saturday to more than 10,000 staff at USAID offered further guidance to Friday's stop work directive that effectively put a sweeping freeze on US foreign aid worldwide. The memo, reviewed by Reuters, laid out expectations for the workforce on how to achieve Trump's goals. Reuters confirmed the authenticity of the memo with several sources. The US is the largest single donor of aid globally. In fiscal year 2023, it disbursed $72 billion in assistance.
Investigators believe a bird strike may have contributed to a passenger plane crash in South Korea last December, resulting in 179 fatalities.
Investigators say they have found evidence of a bird strike on a passenger plane that crashed in South Korea in December, killing 179 people. The feathers and bloodstains on both engines of the Jeju airplane were from the Baikal teal, a type of migratory duck that flies in large flocks, according to a preliminary investigation report published today. The inquiry into the crash, the deadliest on South Korean soil, will now focus on the role of the bird strike and a concrete structure at the end of the runway which the plane crashed into. The report said the engines of the Boeing 737-800 will be torn down and the concrete structure will be examined further. The Jeju airplane took off from Bangkok in the morning of 29th December and was flying from Muan International Airport in the country's southwest. At about 8:57 local time, 3 minutes after pilots made contact with the airport, the control tower advised the crew to be cautious of bird activity. At 8:59, the pilot reported that the plane had struck a bird and declared a mayday signal. The pilot then requested permission to land from the opposite direction, during which it belly landed without its landing gear deployed. The report said it overran the runway and exploded after slamming into the concrete structure.
Thousands of Palestinians are returning to North Gaza after Israel and Hamas reached a deal to free 6 hostages this week.
Tens of thousands of displaced Gaza residents ended months of exile in temporary camps and began returning to what was left of their homes after Israel opened a corridor into the north of the battered enclave. For days, they had sat out in the streets or on a bench with their mattresses, belongings and water tanks, waiting for the checkpoint to open under the terms of the ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas. Their return was pushed back by 48 hours after Israel accused Hamas of breaching the terms of the ceasefire agreement over the release of hostage Abel Yehud, delaying the opening of the Netzarim corridor that bisects the territory. The Israeli Prime Minister's office said Hamas and Israel agreed to release more hostages, including Yehud, on Thursday and Saturday. According to the office, under the agreement, Israel would allow Gazans to return to the north from Monday morning. The Israeli military later said residents could return on foot along the Al-Rashid coastal road, while vehicle traffic can pass via the inland Salah al-Din road after inspection.
On to news from the Women's Under-19 Cricket World Cup. England has locked in the last semi-final spot with a powerful win over New Zealand in Malaysia.
The ongoing ICC Women's Under-19 T20 World Cup is being hosted by Malaysia. England won the toss and elected to field in Sarawak in the Super 6 contest between England and New Zealand. England set up their win by fighting well with the ball, restricting New Zealand to a total of 89 from their 20 overs. Opener Kate Irwin was dismissed for 35 runs off 26 deliveries. Tilly Cortin Coleman was the pick of the bowlers for England with figures of 4 for 8 in a quarter of 4 overs. England chased down the target of 90 runs in 11 overs, losing just 4 wickets. Opener Jemima Spence started things off with a handy knock of 29 runs off 18 deliveries. Accordingly, the official website of the ICC confirmed the qualification of England to the next round. Additionally, England will join India, Australia and South Africa in what sets up as a mouth-watering tournament climax. All action of the ICC Women's Under-19 T20 World Cup 2025 can be watched live on TV1 and at www.sirasatv.lk.
6 adorable Lankas born 3 months ago at the Hambantara Suryavel Safari Park are thriving and full of joy. Some of these cubs belong to Lara, while others are Dora's offspring. Starting from the 4th of February, visitors will have the chance to see these playful cubs. And also, you will get the opportunity to name these cubs as well. So you can help it by visiting the official Facebook page of the Ridegama Safari Park.
Happy headlines.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for joining us.
Good night.